What's up, my freshly battered waffle friends? Today we're going to be waffling on about Helldivers 2, the unexpected smash hit sequel to the relatively unknown game Helldivers. With a player count dropping but stable, and a new update out with more to do in the game than ever before, this is the perfect time to go into detail about how fun this game really is. This is a great ODST game. Sorry, Warhammer Elysium Drop Trooper game? No, that's not it. Starship Troopers game. I guess you could say it's a mix of all of the above. To break down my thoughts more clearly, we're going to split this video into three main sections: gameplay, content, and concept influences. At the end of the video, we'll give the game an overall score and go into any details I may have missed. So with that out of the way, let's jump into some gameplay footage and talk about the positives and negatives of this game. Gameplay wise, I would place this game in the horde shooter category, as this is essentially what every match devolves into in spectacular glory. The main gameplay loop is as follows: drop into the action, fight off hordes of alien bugs or robots while completing various objectives, get to the evac point before the timer runs out, hug your fellow Helldivers to let them know they're doing a good job. Now, if the main gameplay loop looks and sounds familiar, it's because I don't think the game does anything particularly unique or groundbreaking, other than its omnidirectional movement. That's right, Black Ops 6, you weren't the first. But otherwise, the gameplay aspect it's borrowed, it does incredibly well. Rather than focus on what players don't want, this game in its entirety is dedicated to giving players fast-paced, exciting, explosive gameplay that pumps dopamine into your system quicker than a Helldiver spamming their stims. The gameplay is fluid without being too fast, action-packed without being overwhelming, and players are quickly swept up into its world of democratic patriotism
and spread managed democracy throughout the galaxy. Become a hero. Become a legend.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that one either. The weapons in this game are balanced well, with submachine guns dealing good damage quickly but needing to reload more often, shotguns packing a huge punch up close, assault rifles having a good mid-range balance, and marksman's rifles also being there. Now normally I would dive deeper into the weapon selection when discussing a game like Helldivers 2, but in all honesty, there's not really a lot to say. It's not a competitive FPS where your weapon selection makes a huge difference, or a looter shooter where weapon stats are the crux of the gameplay. In this game, the standard weapons you can select from are good, and saying any more than that would seem superfluous. A more important weapon adjacent aspect to Helldivers 2 to talk about would be the stratagems. You can unlock these from your ship using points accumulated from gameplay, if you're the right level, and then choose a selection of 4 of these to take into the action with you. The stratagem categories are General, Patriotic, Orbital, Hangar, Bridge, Engineering, and Robotics. And each of these are very helpful depending on the situation you're in. Personally, my favourite stratagems are the Mortar Turret, 500 kg Bomb, Manned HMG, and Laser Watchdog. However, one unlocked, the Exosuit will probably take my top spot. Whether it's gunning down bugs or blowing up bots, the stratagems in this game are both incredibly useful and stunningly cinematic, and add a lot to this game that really makes the gameplay feel epic. Like you're making a difference when the odds are stacked against you, making this game so much more immersive. Do I take the 500 kg bomb to fight the bugs? Or would the orbital laser be better? The choice is mine and I love it. Moving on from weapons, let's talk about enemy factions and how they affect gameplay. Currently, in the game, there are 2 main factions: the bugs and the bots. Both are mechanically similar. You encounter them randomly patrolling across the map, and both factions have different unit combinations, such as your standard enemy type, your armoured enemy type, and so on. However, you will never encounter both bugs and bots on the same planet, which is a shame. Personally, I would love to encounter a planet with both bugs and bots where the factions are fighting each other. It would drastically change up the dynamic of which stratagems you would take to the field to deal with different factions, and add an element of uncertainty to the gameplay. For example, what if while they're fighting, you weaken one faction more than the other, and the stronger faction captures the planet? Wouldn't that be a good change up in gameplay? But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think this would be a good idea, or do you think we should stick to just one enemy type per planet? Speaking of planets, let's talk about the lobby selection. Now, some of you that have already played this game might be thinking, there is no lobby selection, but you'd be wrong. What Helldivers 2 has done is sneakily put the lobby selection into the gameplay itself as the galactic map on your hub world, or should I say, hub ship. From a gameplay perspective, I think this is a fantastic idea. A quick overview of the galactic map is that there is a two-front ongoing war against Super Earth, and the bugs and the bots are slowly encroaching into human-controlled territory. As a Helldiver, your job is to liberate planets under enemy control, and so you choose a planet to liberate, choose where on the planet you're going to land, and that then shows the game mode. Sneaky, right? This mixing of gameplay into the way you find games and choose your loadout and stratagems is fantastic for immersion. Again, I would say this was borrowed from other games, such as Destiny, but the execution in Helldivers 2 is flawless. Before we move on to content, take a look at some of these clips for a feel of how the game plays, and let me know if you've had any great gameplay moments in Helldivers 2 yourself.
I'm out! Mag's empty! Requesting air support! Calling down a sentry!
Now, on to content. So now we've gone over gameplay, let's talk about content. The content in this game is difficult to quantify, so let's talk first about the content we can discuss easily. Helldivers 2 operates a, and I hate having to say this, Battle Pass system.
No! God! No! God, please, no! 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 No!
Now, before we get our pitchforks out and scream bloody murder, the battle passes are formatted a bit differently in this game, so let's take a look at the positives and negatives. Positives. The main battle pass is free, the currency used to purchase the paid battle passes is obtainable in-game, there are more battle passes being added relatively frequently. And now the negatives. Apart from the main pass, the battle passes are paid, and weapons are locked behind the paid passes. Overall, I don't hate this. It's set up in a way that by the time you've completed the free battle pass, you should have enough in-game currency to buy the next one, and so on. But ultimately, if you don't have to pay for the passes with real money anyway, just have us unlock cosmetics and weapons with the in-game challenges and levels. I really don't understand the need for a battle pass in every single online shooter. Otherwise, this game has a good amount of content to keep you going. Missions in rotation are being updated with new objectives, weapons and cosmetics are added frequently enough to keep you coming back to update your Helldiver, and the galactic war is in a constant state of flux due to the machinations of the elusive man, Joel. Now, it may seem strange to refer to a single employee, Joel, at Arrowhead Studios as content, but honestly this man is the single most important aspect to discussing content when talking about Helldivers 2. Rather than have some AI overlord control the flow of the galactic battles, or update the map once a day, week or month with challenges based off the player's actions, Helldivers 2 decided to go another route with this, and have employed someone full-time to balance the war being waged across the galaxy. Are the Helldivers liberating a system too quickly? Is the massacre at Malevolent Creek too overwhelming? Are a specific group of players decimating the bugs and bots with no real challenge? This is where the elusive Joel steps in to balance the game. To recap, there's a lot of good content to keep players coming back with very few negatives. Personally, I hadn't played this game in a little while before making this video, and as soon as I jumped back on for some footage, I remember my democratic duty to defend Super Earth, jumping from planet to planet for hours, having an absolute blast. To be honest, this section of the video is more for fun than anything else, and I thought it would be fun to look into some of the concept influences for Helldivers 2. Now, if I missed any influences you can think of, let me know in the comments below. Let's start with the obvious, Starship Troopers. If you were to remove the automatons from the game, it would take no time at all to reskin the bugs and slap the Starship Troopers logo onto the box and call it a day. From the over-the-top satirical political messaging,
But freedom doesn't come free.
No! Sweet liberty! No!
Young people from all over the globe are joining up to fight for the future.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part too.
down to the aesthetic of blowing up bugs. This game is heavily influenced by the Starship Troopers franchise, which is very fun. On to the next one, Halo ODST. Now I know that clip's from Halo 2, but it's a great drop pod scene with ODST. Now let's take a look at the name, shall we? Helldivers versus Helljumpers. It's not even that subtle. While the Helldivers universe is far removed from the Halo universe, the Helldivers themselves are clearly influenced by the Helljumpers, with the default armour looking similar and both factions dropping into battle from orbit in a single occupant drop pod. The dropship that collects you in Helldivers 2 even looks like a Pelican from the Halo series. Now enough with the Halo comparisons, let's move on. Deep Rock Galactic.
Rock and stone to the bone.
But the first two influences seem to be more aesthetic. The link to Deep Rock is in the gameplay itself. The gameplay loop in Deep Rock is as follows. You dive down into the mines of an alien planet, complete various objectives with your squad while fighting off hordes of bugs, you run back to the drill while on a time limit, you return to the surface to your hub world.
If you don't rock and stone, you ain't coming home.
Where Helldivers has bug breaches, Deep Rock has swarms. Enough said. Now, while we may have a situation where Arrowhead copied the test answers from the others with minor changes, it turns out they still got full marks as the concepts that they liberated have been expanded upon with great effect. I don't know about you, but I feel like Helldivers 2 has taken the best qualities from each of these franchises and combined them together in a way that supersedes the sum of its parts. Now, before I give Helldivers 2 the waffle stamp of approval or disapproval, there's a few other points I want to mention briefly. Map design. While the games are endlessly enjoyable, one aspect that lets the game down for me is the map designs. Most planets in each area of the galactic map look and feel the same, with large, mostly sparse, unpopulated areas. I think that Arrowhead needs to add more map diversity in the game to retain players. A decimated human or automaton city, or a hive world would be incredible to play. Campaign. It's such a shame this game doesn't have a solid co-op campaign. Maybe an introduction to the universe through a campaign against the automatons and terminids as they begin to infest the galaxy could work as a great prelude before jumping into the missions from your hub world. While the player base has done a great job characterizing their own Helldivers, a story to flesh out your ship's crew and Super Earth as a whole would have been incredible. So, to give this game a score out of 10, where 1 is complete trash, 5 is playable in small doses, and 10 is the pinnacle of gaming, reserved only for true legendary titles, I'm gonna have to give this game 7 out of 10, a delicious golden waffle. With a lot of positives and very few negatives, this game deserves the respectable rating of 7 out of 10. While not perfect, Helldivers 2 is still a lot of fun to play, and may even have rated higher with a solid story mode and more diverse maps. Would I recommend this game? Most definitely. This is a game you will want to play with friends for maximum enjoyment, and even playing solo you're going to have a wild ride. Now, enough waffling on. If you've sat through my ramblings so far, make sure you like this video and subscribe for more content like this. I hope to see you soon.